your online privacy with NordVPN. Browse securely, access content from anywhere, and keep your data safe with military-grade encryption. NordVPN.com. That's NORDVPN.com. It's not just a glove, it's a 44 Pro. Crafted with dedication, made for performance, and built to last. Get your custom glove today at 44pro.com and experience the 44 Pro difference. That's 44pro.com, 44 Pro.
Our patented handles were launched in 2018. We continue to push the boundaries of strength training. Join us in making your training more natural and effective. Visit Engels90.com to learn more and revolutionize your workout.
Looking for tickets to the hottest shows, games, and events? Ticket Liquidator is your one-stop shop for great prices, no hassles, and guaranteed tickets. Whether it's sports, theater, or concert, for the best seats at the biggest events, start with Ticket Liquidator today at ticketliquidator.com. Ticket Liquidator.
Introducing Bark in the Belly Premium Dog Food. 100% of profits go to help dogs in need.
Over 30% of adults struggle with chronic foot and joint pain, and many face mobility limitations as they age. But a revolutionary Comfort First slipper has taken the wellness world by storm. Try Cloud Slides and feel you are walking on the clouds. Cloud Slides.
Welcome on in. Wicked Boston Show. Getting bigger here. On 365 Sports, your host, Cam Stuart. Zach Burke behind the glass, keeping us on the air 5 days a week on YouTube and then wherever you get your podcasts as well. I didn't update my album here, which I'm supposed to do before every episode. Go into Boston mode for the Wicked Boston Show. Funny story. So we're going to talk about the Red Sox being the most impressive team at the World Baseball Classic. And honestly, I think it couldn't have worked out any better. Like, I know some of you will see, Roman Anthony made the last out. Garrett Whitlock blew it. He lost the game. Yeah, there's something about that. But there are two guys whom we didn't expect much out of because we thought they were both going to be traded. And I think they're both going to be influential pieces to the Red Sox success this year. We will talk about those guys. We'll talk about the Bruins. What is going wrong with the Bruins? Because there's one thing I'm seeing that makes me think that they're not a playoff team, which is what I thought they were 2 days ago. And also, are the Bruins the second biggest team in Boston? This is part of a greater discussion that Zach Burke and I will have all coming up on the Wicked Boston show. But speaking of hockey, because we are going to talk about a lot of that, most of it is going to be baseball here at the beginning, but I do want to talk about this hockey note. So yesterday I caved, y'all. You know, I am huge into the hockey jersey scene. I love them. I've spent way too much money on them. I usually search for a deal, but there's a certain amount of exclusivity that I'm like, I got to get on. Right, I got that Quinn Hughes jersey that was showed you last week. I was like, got to get on that. USA, Jack Eichel jersey, way before the Olympics. Like, as soon as they came out, I was like, that's mine. Got to have it, even though I'm going to pay full price. And so I did that. And then there was the whole controversy after the U.S. won the gold. Oh, which time, Cam? Well, the men's team won the gold, and nobody could buy a jersey. No one could buy a USA hockey jersey. And Fanatics said, uh-oh. Shit out of luck. Nike didn't want to make anymore, so we don't have any. And then they did this exclusive restock, pre-sale. And I was like, man, I don't really want to spend this. And the players that I want, they don't have the prices anymore. So I didn't do it. And that was a week and a half ago or so. I checked on Monday, and wouldn't you know, Jack Hughes jerseys. Back in stock, every size. Connor Hellebuck, every size. Austin Matthews, Matthew Tkachuk, Charlie McAvoy, every size, back in stock. Wasn't so much of an exclusive restock, huh? So I went and bought one. Bought one last night. Jack Hughes, white, 86. Perfect. Like the moment, the guy. And I took screenshots of my order and everything and saw that, the thing underneath it that said exclusive restock, just in case I had to sue Fanatics later on. If they did another restock, that's false advertising. So just in case, I kept those around. Turns out I go on Reddit today, just before the show. It's even worse than that. People are getting refunds for their jerseys because they're being told their pre-sale jerseys that they ordered are out of stock. These pre-sale, pre-orders that aren't even supposed to get here until September. That's when my Jack Hughes jersey is coming, by the way. Yes, September, 6 months from now. A lot can happen. I can die in the 6 months from now, and my fiance is just going to have a Jack Hughes jersey show up on our doorstep one day. And they're saying 6 months ahead of time, actually, I know you ordered one, but sorry, we're out. I have not gotten that email yet. People on Reddit have gotten that email. If that happens, I'm going to be pissed. I am going to be so pissed. But maybe I'll make it a Roman Anthony USA jersey because I do want one of those. I do. Spending too much money on USA jerseys, but I do want one of those. Let's talk about the World Baseball Classic, man. Venezuela takes down the U.S. I see the headlines everywhere. Humongous upset. Like, really? It is? Like, yeah, USA is better on paper. But like, I wouldn't say, the pitching matchup, you had a really young guy in McLean and a struggling veteran in Erod, our old pal Eddie Rodriguez, who pitched awesome. U.S. has really struggled scoring, obviously, in this game and in the game before. Like, I just saw that as kind of disrespectful to Venezuela. Italy beating the U.S., yeah, that's a big upset. Even though there are a bunch of Americans, that's a big upset. Americans that weren't good enough to make the American team. So, yeah, that's a huge upset. Venezuela, like, really? Venezuela is no worse than the fifth best baseball country on the planet. Like, they are easily a top five. Like, they're better than Canada. They're better than Mexico. You know what I mean? Like, that, you look up and down the list, man, there's all kinds of Venezuelans that are making all-star teams, making the Hall of Fame. I just didn't, that's all. It wasn't a huge upset to me. That was two really good teams, and Venezuela won the thing. And I know I went all in on Olympic hockey, and I know I said I was turning the corner on this tournament. I wasn't devastated, guys. I wasn't. I woke up, the sun was out this morning, and I was just fine. If the U.S. had lost to Canada in hockey in the gold medal game, I probably wouldn't have gotten out of bed for like 3 days. I was much, much, much more pissed off at the way the Bruins lost last night than the fact that the U.S. lost. Like, one of these days, I probably will care about that as much as I care about the hockey in the Olympics, because I love baseball as much as I love hockey. But it just didn't move me that much. In fact, I found myself tribalism coming in, which is the big thing with Americans versus, the other countries that play in this tournament, is we care about the guys that are on our team, not necessarily Team USA. I'm rooting for Team USA, but my biggest takeaway from the tournament had to do with my team, my MLB team, not so much Team USA. Venezuela, on paper, won the World Baseball Classic. When you look back in the record books, the 2026 World Baseball Classic champions, Venezuela. But in our reality, the world that we're living in, the champions of the 2026 World Baseball Classic were the Boston Red Sox. And it wasn't particularly close, man. No team, no MLB team came even close to having the benefits that the Red Sox did in the World Baseball Classic. The two-word Red Sox did in the World Baseball Classic. And I know Whitlock he gave it up at the end. Lost the game. Roman Anthony strikes out to end the game. Okay. Plenty of great players strike out to end a game. Like, it happens. But when you look at this tournament, there is no one that made out better than the hometown Boston Red Sox. And it's evidenced by this tweet from friend of the show, Daniel Fox. We have had on the Wicked Boston show before. Look at this. Look at this. 4th most home runs of anybody at the tournament. The Boston Red Sox outfield had more home runs than the U.S. all by themselves, and had just as many as Japan, two of those home runs came from a Boston Red Sox. All across the board. Defense, hitting, pitching, specifically out of the bullpen. The Red Sox were nails in this tournament. And you saw it in the championship game, as you did in the quarterfinals, from Wilyer Abreu. Big-time home runs, man. Wilyer, with the go-ahead in the quarterfinals, what put him up 2-0 in the finals, a couple of great bat flips to go along with it. Wilyer Abreu, to me, became the biggest story from the Red Sox out of the World Baseball Classic. The other day, it was Roman Anthony and what he was doing at a high level, and he still had a great tournament. And I think still, I'm not backing off the whole Roman Anthony is the next face of baseball thing. But Wilyer Abreu felt he had something to prove in this tournament, and he proved something. Okay, to the tune of an 845 OPS, a couple of homers, both in the knockout round, and 7 RBI. I know Roman Anthony is going to be a terrific player for the Red Sox this year. I know he's going to be the face of the franchise this year. The World Baseball Classic and his success there just added to that, added more hype on the train. With Wilyer Abreu, this is important. This is a really important tournament for Wilyer, because there are still major questions around this guy, even though he's a very promising, somewhat young baseball player. Okay, he's been a dependable guy in your lineup when he's in the lineup. And that sounds like an oxymoron, but he did have an injury this past year, but most of his time not in the lineup has not been because of injury. He's been a 3-WAR player each of the last 2 seasons, but he is more or less platooned. He's played against righties. And last year, it felt like it was going to be the breakout, right? 22 homers in 115 games, 30 home run pace. Looked like he was going to get there, had a bit of an injury, and it ended up not really being the breakout year. And there are still some things that haven't come around for Wilyer. Well, 2026 could be Wilyer Abreu's breakout year after what he just did at the World Baseball Classic. Because he showed me something. But what we need to see is that for 162 games. That's what we need to see from Wilyer Abreu, because the time is now, okay? The time is not nigh. It is now. Okay? You look at him, you look at the body of work, you watch him play, you see the 22 homers last year, you see the strikeout and the whiff rate, and you say, that's a power hitter. You watch his plate approach. You see how big that swing is. You say, that is a power hitter. But a lot of the other numbers don't say that Wilyer Abreu is an effective power hitter in the major leagues. Okay, he has not had an OPS over 800 in his 2 full seasons. His walk rate is going up, which is good, each of the last 2 years. But by pretty much every metric, he is a slightly above average major league hitter with a little bit of pop. And we see it in spurts, in streaks for like a week or two at a time, that he can be more than that. But right now, through 2 full major league seasons, he has no elite numbers or anything close to it in barrel rate or exit velo or hard hit percentage. Nothing like that. All good, but not very good. The time is now. Because he's 27. Okay, he's not a 22-year-old kid. He's on a cheap contract. He's not ARB eligible yet, but he's 27 years old. And the fact that he didn't get traded in this offseason shows me that the Red Sox do believe in him. But on the other hand, this is where it gets confusing. He is one of the young guys that has not been extended. Not like Roman Anthony or Cedar Rafaela or even Christian Campbell. He's not in that group. Tristan Casas is not in that group. Marcelo Meyer's not in that group. Jaron Duran's not in that group. Why aren't they in that group? This is where I get confused. But since he wasn't traded when he had insanely good trade value this season, this offseason, I should say, then that makes me think the Red Sox believe he is one of the answers for their crisis in the middle of the order. They expect him to be a legitimate power threat. And look, this expectation thing, this goes both ways. Okay? The Red Sox expect him to be a slugger in the middle of their order. You can expect more out of Wilyer. But Wilyer also can expect more out of the Red Sox. That means playing him every day. That means playing him against lefties. There's no use for him long-term to be a platoon player. If he is this power hitter that you've trained, that you guys think can hit 30 home runs, then he needs to be out there every single day. But that's the thing that they've done with Abreu. They've done it with Casas. They've done it with Duran longer than they should have. They do it a different way with Cedar. They kind of move him around. But these guys, they platoon. Like Romy Gonzalez is a platoon player. Wilyer Abreu and Jaron Duran should not be. And because of that, the projections for Wilyer on all these websites, all these fan graphs and Baseball Reference, they're all off because they don't expect him to play 140 games in a year. And I did look it up based on his usage. Baseball Reference only projects him at 19 homers this year. It was 19 homers and 46 extra base hits. But I'll tell you what, if he's a 25 homer guy, it makes Craig Breslow and Time Bloom look like geniuses for acquiring him and for Craig Breslow keeping him around. Just think about it. If he can make that jump, which is not a huge jump, mind you. You know, he hit 22 in 115 games last year. So it's not like he needs to make this massive leap to get to 25 homers, which would be a great number for him. But this is a guy who is still not arbitration eligible until next year. He's 27 years old. He is an elite fielder with his 2 Gold Gloves and could be a dangerous power hitter in the middle of your order. That would be a steal. especially for Christian Vasquez. Mind you, that was the trade. That's when the Astros started throwing prospects out there. Then they actually became something. So this would be the biggest steal on the team if he can play a full season, hit against lefties, and reach his power potential. I mean, based on the numbers he had last year, it's not that crazy to think that he could get to 30 homers this year. And then you figured something out in the middle of your lineup with he and Contreras and this next guy we're talking about. But Wilyer Abreu, huge stock up after the World Baseball Classic. That's a guy who can fix the power outage that the Red Sox have right now, that they didn't really improve in the offseason, that they could have really used last year. And I agree with LJ Booth. Red Sox are the best team in the league. Best team in the world, based on what we've seen here. Stock way up for Wilyer Abreu, but lest we forget, another Red Sox at the World Baseball Classic. Stock way up for Jarren Duran after the WBC. The Abreu thing was great. You knew he had some pop in him. I didn't know if Jarren Duran still had the pop. I didn't. And amazingly, Wilyer Abreu wasn't even the only left-handed hitting Red Sox outfielder who was in trade talks this winter that had an amazing tournament. Because how about this from Jarren Duran? How about 5 for 15 with 3 homers, a double, 5 runs scored, and 2 steals in just 4 games? Like, do you think that'll be anything?
I'd say that does the trick. That'll do it. Yeah, that'll do it. Yeah, I'd say that'll do it. Yeah, I'd say that would do it.
I think that'd do it. Jarren Duran, who was in trade talks the entire winter, a guy who I thought should have been traded, not because he was a bad player, which is a common misconception amongst Red Sox fans, but you thought you'd probably gotten the best out of him. And all his power numbers took a dip last year after obviously having a great 2024 where he was top 10 in the MVP voting, won the All-Star Game MVP. And he was among the Red Sox leaders in pretty much every meaningful hitting category last year. But they were a team that fell short in the postseason thanks in large part to their hitting. And Duran wasn't a good enough on-base guy to be at the top of the order. And that was Roman Anthony's spot. Then you had to hit him third, and that felt a little out of place. You know, he still led the league in triples, but he was down in doubles. He was down in homers. Actually went up in RBI, which was interesting to see. So those kind of classic power hitting numbers, they all went down. The OPS went way down. As a matter of fact, the OPS plus went way down. So it's not that Jarren Duran was a bad player. You just thought, hey, you've probably gotten the best out of him. He's still cheap. Other teams want him. Other teams have a need for him. So there was these thoughts of like, as a Red Sox fan who doesn't hate Jarren Duran, of course you would send him in a deal for Cole Reagans or for Joe Ryan or for Freddie Peralta. Like, of course you would have. But then he goes off at this tournament in March, and you're thinking, oh, maybe he is a number 3 hitter. Maybe we can put him behind Roman Anthony, and he'll get some good pitches to hit, and he's got that power stroke still. I mean, this is a dude who led the league in doubles and triples in 2024. Not that long ago. And it's still the biggest concern for me on this Red Sox team, what they're going to do in the middle of the order. Contreras, nice little pickup. Is he better than Bregman? No. So you're down Bregman, you're up Contreras. You're playing a losing game there. But after what I saw this week, you're down Alex Bregman, but you're up Wilson Contreras. You're up a little bit more Wilyer Abreu, and you could be up to 2024 Jarren Duran, which would be a massive addition for the Red Sox. Massive. And Masataka Yoshida, lest we forget, had a couple of home runs in this tournament too. So maybe myself and a lot of Red Sox fans were wrong. And maybe the Red Sox were right to not give up on Jarren Duran. We're going to hear about his approach and stuff all season long, so get ready for it. About how he doesn't care about anything and all that. But this could be a massive addition to this team. And so I look at the Red Sox, and I know a lot of you think it's just some fake make-believe tournament, but I'll tell you, you watch those atmospheres, you saw those. If the U.S. wasn't taking this tournament seriously, they were the only one that wasn't. And the players were taking it really seriously, and we're talking about the best players in the world. Wilyer Abreu, Jarren Duran, Roman Anthony all dominated that tournament. That is massive, massive upside for the Red Sox. And now I look as a giddy onlooker, seeing the Red Sox outfield and DH combinations being Roman Anthony, Wilyer Abreu, Cedar Rafaela, and Jarren Duran. Splice it up however you want. That should get you excited. Let me know what you think in the comments section below. Like the video, subscribe to the channel. Coming at you every weekday on YouTube and wherever you get your podcasts as well. Your lunchtime alternative to Boston Sports Talk Radio here on the Wicked Boston Show. I do have to address, before we go to break and switch gears, I do need to address that there was a pretty meaningful Red Sox player who gave it up last night. Garrett Whitlock went in the ninth inning. He was awesome all tournament long. All tournament, he was awesome. And then in the biggest inning of the season / tournament, he gives up the game-winning run. Does that sound familiar? Does that sound familiar at all to any one of you guys? It sounds exactly like the 2025 MLB season when he was lights out for 2 straight months. And then, inexplicably, in Game 2 of the Wild Card Series, Alex Cora just leaves him out there to die. It happened again. It happened again at this tournament. Look at this. Everything was down. Shout out to Justin, who's a good Twitter account. Everything was down from Garrett Whitlock in that game. Velocity, movement, all of it. And this is another great one from Red Sox Stats. Garrett Whitlock threw his 5 slowest fastballs of the WBC last night and 9 of his 13 slowest. 3 games in 5 days in mid-March. Not what you want to see. I love Garrett Whitlock, man. He is such a valuable part of this team, and he has been for years now. And he won't complain, but that's twice in the last 6 months that a manager has just pushed him a little too far. And it's wild. Like, we pamper closers. Pamper them. They can't ever pitch more than 1 inning. They got to only, throw this amount of pitches, yada, yada, yada. And we don't do it for Garrett Whitlock. And that sucks. Like, he threw more pitches than Brian Bayo did in Game 2 of that wild card series, and Bayo was the starter. He hadn't pitched over 2 innings or over an inning in like 2 months, and Cora threw him out there for a second inning, and he gave it up. When was the last time Garrett Whitlock pitched 3 times in 5 days? Mark DeRosa sends him out there. Sends him out there for the 9th. So, yeah, I do have a little bit of sympathy for Garrett Whitlock. You gotta come through and perform. And he didn't in this instance, not to the degree that Aaron Judge didn't perform, but it sucks. And now, the hitters, I don't care how much they get used in a tournament in March. They're not going to play much the rest of the spring, and then we'll get on to the major leagues, in a week and a half here. I think they'll be fine. But the pitchers, I do worry about. And I think Garrett Whitlock kind of got boned in that game. But let me know what you think in the comment section below. We're going to take a quick break in just a second here. We're going to talk some hockey after this. We're going to talk Bruins, why they are losing their grip on the second wild card spot. And then a very interesting exercise that Zach and I are going to do, because there are some people who think the Bruins are the second biggest team in Boston. And there are others that say a hockey team cannot be in the top 2 of any American city. Well, we have the list, and we're going to go over that. But first, I got to tell you about Blackmore Bar and Kitchen. Okay. It's my favorite spot in Charlestown. All right. It's right over the Bill Russell Bridge from the Garden. So look, going to a Bruins game, Celtics game, concert at the Garden, graduation. Those are coming up next month or two. How about this? You can get some cheap parking right near the arena, which sounds like an oxymoron, but it's true. You park right around the corner from Blackmore Bar and Kitchen. You go in there, 34 draft beers, so much to choose from, and some great bites to eat as well. We will be back there. The Wicked Boston Show will be back there Tuesday. It is now next Tuesday, March the 24th, before Bruins leave. It's going to be about 5:15, 5:30. So we're going to lead you right up to basically puck drop of Bruins Leafs and what's going to be a massive game. They're all massive games these days. So we want to see you there as well. Check that out. When we come back, let's talk some hockey. This is why the Bruins are suddenly not going to make the playoffs. And are they the second most popular team in the city? Let's do it next on the Wicked Boston Show.
Blackmore Bar and Kitchen, located in Charlestown, is the perfect spot for a bite and drink before a Bruins or Celtics game at TD Garden. Blackmore Bar and Kitchen offers 34 rotating beers, craft cocktails, and an eclectic menu of tavern favorites like burgers, sandwiches, and flatbreads. Join us for brunch every Saturday and Sunday, plus pre- and post-game garden events. Blackmore Bar and Kitchen. Check us out at blackmorebar.com.
Welcome to Kitbag, the ultimate destination for football fans. Whether you're cheering for Arsenal, Chelsea, Manchester United, or any other top club, for true football passion, think Kitbag. Visit kitbag.com today. That's kitbag.com. Kitbag.
Our professionals are not only experts in managing urgent concerns, but also in providing top-notch preventative health care. We're proud to connect pet owners to a vast network of licensed veterinary professionals, ready to address any immediate concerns. Book your first appointment today.
At Mitzi, we believe the right light can transform any space. Mitzi has the perfect design for you. Beautiful, well-made lighting without the high price tag. Discover your perfect light at Mitzi.com. That's MITZI.com. Mitzi. Streamline event and appointment booking with Amelia's sleek, modern, and fully customizable booking forms. WPAmelia.com. That's WPAMELIA.com. Amelia.
Everybody at Equalife really has a passion and a real interest in helping people feel well. How much further can we go to get you feeling even better? It is a complete partnership between the two of us.
At Tusain's, we understand that maintaining a healthy lifestyle can be challenging, especially in today's fast-paced world. That's why our mission is to make fitness accessible to everyone, anywhere. Visit Tusains.com today and start your journey to better health. That's TOUSAINS.com.
I'm pretty bummed out. My man Daniel Fox, friend of the show, is not getting the credit. I'm seeing all these posts out there about the Red Sox outfield being third amongst teams in the World Baseball Classic for home runs. And my man Daniel Fox is not getting the credit. Is not. Bad night for Daniel Fox, I guess. Worst night for the Boston Bruins. I'll tell you that much. They did not get help around the league, and they did not do themselves any favors. Buffalo won in regulation. Tampa won in regulation. You're not catching those guys anyway. But Montreal gets a win, obviously, over you, and Columbus wins in regulation. They now have a game in hand on the Bruins and are 1 point behind. And somehow Boston is in the first wild card spot. Let's talk some hockey. I'm going to do this real quick, and then we're going to bring Zach on in this segment, and we're going to talk about this great, I think this kind of really interesting brain thing that Barstool did for sports fans. But anyway, let's do this. All right. I'm pretty close to being out on the Bruins making the playoffs this year. I've been on the hype train all season long. I still want them to. It's a total free hit. You have the Leafs first round pick in all likelihood. So there's no reason to not root for making the playoffs if you're a Bruins fan. But these last two nights have been brutal. Okay, I put it out there on Twitter and I'll stick by it. I would rather have nuked my own balls than watch those last 2 nights of Bruins hockey over again. 2 devastating losses. You blow a 2-0 lead to Jersey, who sucks and has one win when they're trailing by 2 goals the whole year. You lose to them with under 10 seconds to go in overtime. Then you play Montreal. And for parts of that game, you played your absolute ass off, right? Zaka scored twice. He's got a career high. And wouldn't you know, you lose in overtime with less than 30 seconds left. Cole Caulfield, huh? That guy could score in overtime. And you lose valuable points back-to-back nights. You lost valuable points by going to a shootout against Washington. 5 of their last 6 games have gone to overtime. Losing points. Losing them. And now, even though they still sit in a playoff position, Columbus is right on their ass. Ottawa is right on their ass. And now the team that's right behind is Detroit, the team you got to go play in their barn on Saturday night, a place where the Bruins traditionally do not play very well. So why, after all that evidence I just gave you, why am I down on the Bruins making the playoffs right now? Well, this might be harsh, but it kind of comes down to one player. Because before the season, I said there was going to need to be a lot of things that went right for the Bruins to get to the playoffs. Okay, one of them was the Panthers having a bunch of injuries, and that's happened. No, but seriously, there was a lot of things that needed to go right for the Bruins to make the dance this year. You needed a huge bounce-back year from Jeremy Swayman. You've gotten that. You needed a bounce-back year from Charlie McAvoy. You have gotten that. You needed Morgan Geekie to be a 30-goal scorer again. You have gotten that. You need David Pastrnak to be David Pastrnak and make the team better, have 100 points. You have gotten that. You needed your second line to step up. You've gotten that. You needed Fraser Minton to be something. He has given you that and then some. But the other big thing outside of Swayman and McAvoy that I said you needed a big bounce back from, the other person was Elias Lindholm. Big thumbs down. You have not gotten that at all. And in fact, as bad as Elias Lindholm was last year, he's even worse in 2026. Usually he's just invisible. The last couple nights, he has been visible, visibly killing your team, killing them. And it's the biggest waste of money that the Bruins have on their hands right now. And honestly, I have no idea what they're going to be able to do with it. No idea. You know, I mean, he's supposed to be a useful defensive forward, and at times he is. Their penalty kill is now great, but their power play sucks, and he's on the first power play unit. You can't have him. He's getting paid $8 million a year. $8 million. Well, 7.75. $7.75 million a year, and he can't be your first line center. Can't do it. You need to put the 21-year-old kid, Fraser Minton, up on the first line and have Husnadinov on the wing. That is such an embarrassment for Elias Lindholm, who was once a point-a-game player in this league. Not anymore. Not even close. He's killing you. Killing you, man. And what's crazy about this is he was just called out by Marco Sturm last week. You know, we said our top guys need to be our top guys. And the only one of those that wasn't playing well at the time was Elias Lindholm. Now you can add Morgan Geekie to that, but like he gets called out by his coach. And look, everyone with the Bruins has responded well to that this season. I know it's not like a universal for athletes that everyone responds well to that, but everyone that's been called out by Marco Sturm has bounced back, right? You know, Casey Middlestat got a healthy scratch earlier in the year, and Craig Button was the one that actually took him to the woodshed. And he's been a pretty dependable player since then. Mason Lohrei was scratched 5 games in a row, 5 games that they won earlier in the season, and then was traded until Rasmus Andersson said he didn't want to come here. And he's been right up there with McAvoy as your best defenseman this year. He's been awesome the last couple of weeks. But when you call out Elias Lindholm, he's nowhere to be found. 2 points in his last 9 games. Both of them are assists. And one of them was in a game where he was a -3. So it's still a net negative. He's -8 since returning from the Olympics. And he and Morgan Geekie, who also stunk in this stretch, Elias Lindholm and Morgan Geekie have 0 5-on-5 points in 10 games since the Olympic break. 11 games since the Olympic break. And you've got an all-star Hall of Fame right winger who can't get the puck from his top line center because the guy sucks. And you're tied up to almost $8 million a year for this guy for another 5 seasons after this. This might end up being the worst contract in the Sweeney era. It's going to take a lot to overcome the David Backes one. I mean, it's brutal. And so it sucks that it goes down to one guy, but when you're a team that doesn't have a lot of talent, you need a lot of things to break your way, and all the other things have broken your way, and your number 1 center can't even be as good as a number 3 center, then yeah, a lot of it falls on 28. A lot of it falls on Elias Lindholm. And it could be those little things that keep them from making the playoffs. And he's not the only one. You know, Morgan Geekie's on a real bad stretch right now. And when he's not scoring goals, he doesn't give you anything. Okay. He can't drive play. He's brutal defensively. In fact, that second goal Montreal scored, Lane Hudson is just walking the friggin' line, who's great at it, right? He's great at it. But Morgan Geekie is just standing there trying to skate along with him, doesn't have a stick out, not trying to poke check, nothing like that. Easy shooting lane, clean shooting lane for Lane Hudson. And Josh Anderson gets in front of Zadorov, who doesn't clear him out of the crease, doesn't even tie his stick up, and scores a goal. Zadorov, by the way, who's clearly hurt, clearly playing hurt, probably from that last Montreal game back in January, where it looked like he was going to be out for the season with that knee thing. He's just not been a physical presence at all for the Bruins the last couple of weeks. He's probably hurt. Looks like David Pastrnak is hurt. People were thinking David Pastrnak was hurt because he's so sluggish playing on a line with Elias Lindholm, though. You know, Hampus Lindholm is a step slower, but he's been great for Lowry on that deep pairing. Man, Lowry has been good. But if you want to boil it down to one person, it's not Jeremy Swayman. As much as some of you Bruins fans want it to be, it's not. It's not Jeremy Swayman. It's not Charlie McAvoy. It's not Marco Sturm, and it's not all entirely Don Sweeney, although he is the one that made this signing. Well, so maybe. It's Elias Lindholm. And if this keeps going like this, he might be the reason you don't make the playoffs. Let me know what you think in the comment section below. Be sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel. We come at you every weekday on YouTube and wherever you get your podcasts as well. It's your lunchtime alternative to Boston Sports Talk Radio. It's right here on the Wicked Boston Show with Cam Stewart. Let's bring Zach in because I got a fun game as exercise for us.
Yeah.
Zach, you ready for this?
Can you hear me okay?
I can.
Okay, do I look okay?
We're in the new. Are you in a basement?
Well, we're in the new place, and it's not all fixed, so it is kind of echoey in here. That's why I wanted to make sure that it at least got my mic and not the laptop camera to make it.
That's just more Zach Burke voice for us.
There you go. Y'all are
always
welcome.
take more.
Oh,
Zach, I'm calling on you. I'm calling
Yeah.
on you for this one. So, you're a hockey fan.
Yes.
You know, you wouldn't call yourself a diehard, but
No.
an appreciator of hockey.
Mhm.
And you are a big sports fan. Like Zach knows the stuff, all the big major sports, all the big major sports cities. Zach knows his shit. So I saw this from Barstool the other day. You can put it up if you want.
Okay.
I saw this on Barstool the other day. They were talking about, let's take any sports city that has at least 3 teams.
Okay.
And in any of those sports cities is the hockey team the second favorite. And so we're basically assuming that NFL is the top in every market. Like sometimes you might not feel that way with the passion, but certainly like the NFL is the NFL. And so the argument became, is there any American city that has hockey second? And some of them were just saying straight up no, like there's not one. I want to get your initial thoughts on this. Is it even possible? Is there one you could think of?
That's what I was initial. I'm going to say yes, just because of some of the cities that these teams are in. One of them that I'm thinking for some reason is the Blue Jackets. I know that they're not a great, here's the thing. Well, what else are you considering with Columbus?
Cleveland.
Okay. I see that. So I was going with Columbus just because it's sure enough just Columbus, but it is close enough to
I think they've
all those
looped
others.
in.
I think without going through, I think that there is at least one or two cities where it has to be the second most popular team. I can't see like all 32. Like, yeah, you're going to be tough, but I fully believe that there's at least there has to be some cities where this is the case.
So I first heard this and I said no. And I love hockey.
Mm-hmm.
And here's the thing, man. And this is why I think I probably have a great example of it here. Like Boston to me, and I've been to some great hockey towns. Boston is the best hockey town in the U.S. in terms of the care factor with the professional teams, obviously the college teams, which some cities don't have, and the amount of people that are playing here, coming from here. It is an absolute hockey hotbed.
For sure.
The Bruins are not the second biggest team in the city of Boston. And quite frankly, they're probably fourth. You can argue for them. You can argue for them to be third. And that's kind of like maybe, but like fourth in Boston is second or first in some other cities. If we're talking about just total people caring about it and how big a deal they are, like the Bruins are still a huge deal in this town.
Yeah. Well, Boston's a great sports town. So I get that.
Yeah, but they're not second. Like they're not. And so when I see that, I'm like, then who is in the U.S.? So here's the list they put down, Zach. Here's the list. This is, I don't even know if this first one counts. First one they do is Vegas. Now they list the teams that this city plays host to.
This is very okay. Yeah.
The Raiders.
Yeah.
Fresh from this decade.
Are they count? Oh, wait. Yeah.
The A's.
I was about to see if they were going to count the A's.
Never played a game in Vegas.
They're not there.
And then it just says NBA because there's gonna be an NBA team there. I'm like, so that doesn't count. Okay, because they're not a friggin' team.
Exactly. No, that's the
thing.
And
the A's don't play there. So automatically, I think they're disqualified from this list because they don't have three.
Exactly. No, they do. Because the A's are still playing in the AAA stadium. They're playing at the Flying Squirrel in Sacramento. So no, that doesn't count.
And like, I guess I don't know within the city, but like the Raiders are one of the most well-supported teams, not just NFL teams, full stop, in the nation. Like,
agreed.
They're everywhere. We'll bring Q on. He'll tell us.
They are a nation. They will tell you.
So it's like maybe we're splitting hairs there because the Golden Knights were the first team in Vegas. So maybe more locals to Vegas are in on the Golden Knights. But I'd also be willing to bet that there's a lot of Vegas locals that were rooting for the Raiders well before they even moved here.
For sure.
I'll bet there's all because LA didn't have a team either for a while. So that was kind of the next closest like big city. So I'll bet there are a lot of Raiders fans there. So I don't know about that one. Then they have Toronto, which is not in America. So we're not.
I was about to say that's not an American city.
Doesn't count. Tampa.
Okay, that is an interesting one. Are they? I'm assuming they're accounting the three, right? There's not a basketball franchise they're looping in with Tampa.
Correct.
I would say that absolutely has to be the Bucks are going to be one, but you have a team that has won multiple Stanley Cups. To where you still cannot fill up half the stadium for the baseball team. And there have been talks of even splitting. Remember, there was the talk of like, oh, we'll play half the home games in Montreal and half the home games in Tampa. So that goes to show me that you cannot support your baseball team that much. Not to say there aren't supporters of the Rays, but yeah. So I completely agree that Tampa is the Lightning are number 2 in that city.
So I'm gonna give it to him. I am gonna give it to him. But here's what I think is funny, because we've heard for years. You know, you mentioned it, like nobody goes to the Rays games, right?
Except Dickie V.
Yes, they have some of the worst attendance issues in all of sports, and everyone would say, like everyone in that area would be like, no. Everyone here loves the Rays. it's just a bitch to get to the ballpark. And I've seen the layout. It actually is horrendous. I wouldn't go.
It's not a great ballpark.
There's like one way in, one way out. It's all commuter traffic at that time of day. You're basically on an island. Like, it sucks. And the ballpark is awful. I don't even want to call it a ballpark. But I do think that's funny of like, no, the Rays actually have a huge fan base. It's just that they can't get to the park. But, oh yeah, the hockey team is bigger.
Yeah. No,
so based on what I've seen, I'm willing to agree with this.
There's a difference to me, and maybe this is being nitpicky here, but like I see people talk about like the Rockets. And I know we're talking basketball, but like attendance, because somebody sent a picture out a couple weeks ago of like, this is a KD led team and this is the venue before, and they're like shooting around and like nobody's there. Houston is a place just notoriously that does fill up late. So by the time you get to that second, third quarter, it's packed. Like, that's just how they work as a city. That's how a lot of Texas cities seem to work. But they're still going. In Tampa, they're not going. Like, you can tune in the 7th inning, and if you bought tickets, the cheap seats up for like $10, you're probably sitting behind home plate by the time the 7th inning rolls around. So yeah, no, I'm giving it to the Lightning for sure.
Next one, maybe the most interesting one, because I've heard, I actually reached out to people about this one last night and heard mixed results. Pittsburgh.
Steelers are obviously one.
Yeah. They've got the Penguins too.
The Pirates aren't good.
So I reached out to some Yinzers that I know.
Yeah. Okay.
Last night. One of them actually had the bold claim that said this was wrong, because he said Pittsburgh at its core is a baseball town.
Ooh.
I was like, interesting. So Pittsburgh is a great sports city. Okay. Yeah. It's kind of like Boston. They're going to support their teams, like, because they're great sports fans. Mm-hmm. And they do really like the Pirates. The thing is, they've sucked for a long time, and they have one of the worst owners in sports. And like, it's one of those baseball experiences that is just hell on earth to root for that team. The Penguins, on the other hand, in my lifetime, have been arguably the most successful team in the NHL. They've won 3 Stanley Cups. They've been to another Stanley Cup final, and they have had the face of the sport in Sidney Crosby. They've also have Getting Malkin, Fleury, Hall of Fame guys. This is coming off the back of Lemieux.
It was Lemieux and Yager when I was a kid. Yeah.
Yes. So they've always been in the picture. And by the way, when you were a kid, that team almost left town. Just saying. Just saying. They almost moved twice. So if I'm talking 2020s, I think Pittsburgh might have a good case. But it is and the other thing you got to put into this too, the Pirates do have a huge fan base, because like Pittsburgh's really close to West Virginia, and there are a lot more baseball fans in West Virginia than there are hockey fans. There are some hockey fans. So I think that one's really, really close.
It is really close. And he brought up a great point when you talk about Pittsburgh being a baseball city. Like, there are so many greats that have gone through Pittsburgh.
And it's one of the oldest baseball cities, by the way.
But it's just been so long. Like, instead, people like me think of like, oh, that what Pittsburgh does is they luck into drafting great talent, and then they'll either trade them away and get some more draft picks before it's said and done. Like, I fully believe Paul Skeens isn't going to be a Pirate here in a couple of years. Like, that's just how it works. I know at one point in time, it was obviously like the team to be. I don't know if they were ever on the Steelers level, but like, I know that obviously it was big enough to where the mascot was helping sell Coke throughout town. Like, baseball was big. But I think where we are now, I want to lean with you and give it to it. But for me,
I think I'm changing my mind.
I'm like, the more I think about it, it is, as much as I want the Pirates to do good, the Penguins are number 2 team in that town right now. And like, I have an 8-year-old nephew who's a Pirates fan, and that guy has not seen anything good from this team whatsoever. In the 8 years he's been alive, it was like that the 20 years before that. At one point in time, yes, but no, the hockey team's the number 2 team right now in that market.
I'll go against you then. I'll put Pirates too.
That's
so fine. We can have a disagreement. But I'll say this, like Boston, the least supported team in Pittsburgh is better supported than a lot of number 2 teams and even some number 1 teams in other cities. Minneapolis, St. Paul.
No.
I agree and no. And they have the Twins last, and I think the Twins are second. I don't think they give a shit about
do
the
they have the
Timberwolves.
Timberwolves? Yeah, no. I think honestly the Wolves might I don't know where the Wolves rank. I don't think that it's third or fourth.
So Minnesota is the state of hockey, right? It is a place that is super passionate, obviously about its hockey at all levels. But to me, like the Minnesota Wild, who are pretty well supported, are kind of like the Pacers in Indiana. And what I mean by that is they are the second biggest team in their sport in their state. Like the biggest basketball team in Indiana is the Hoosiers. It's not the Pacers.
The Gophers or
I would say the Gophers and your high school team for some of the like Edina or Moorhead or some of these other big hockey powerhouses are bigger. So they love hockey, but I don't think they're the number 2 pro sports team. Like the Twins are pretty well supported, man.
Yeah,
and the Vikings are clearly like well ahead.
For sure. And I was just going to say, educate me real quick, just because I am like a hockey fan, but not to the level that you do. Is it similar? I've always thought that like hockey in Minnesota was very similar to like football in Texas, of where it is big, even on like the high school and the collegiate level. So like, you know, it's just a sport as a whole. And I can see that kind of spread across. But I've watched and I know a couple Twins fans, and they are very passionate about their baseball. They're very passionate about, I don't know, I'm getting blurred all of a sudden. They're very passionate about their Vikings. And I know that they love hockey, but I hear them talk about hockey kind of more just across the board. Not to say they don't support the Wild. I still think the Timberwolves are last in this. I think the Timberwolves are fourth. But I think the Twins are too to be ahead of the Wild on this.
So we're going on the Twin Cities. We've got 4 more, so I'll try to go quicker.
All right, I won't talk as much.
Detroit. This might have been just as tough for me as Pittsburgh.
Lions, Tigers.
I do think that I think the Tigers are bigger than the Red Wings, but they do love the Red Wings. They do. That said, they don't punch the place out regularly enough. And I hate that this is a barometer for how much people care about sports, but sometimes it is. Like I remember the last time the Red Wings were in the playoffs, which was 10 years ago, to be fair, you could get in the building for like $40. You couldn't get in the Bruins for a playoff game for under 150. So I don't know that they support any of their teams well enough, but certainly the Pistons are fourth.
Now, yes.
And they call themselves Hockey Town, Detroit. And look, they do have a great hockey fan base. They do. I just don't know if it's bigger than the Tigers.
It's very much like Pittsburgh, like we talked about. Yes, there's so much history there with Detroit and stuff, or with the Tigers too.
And maybe part of it is like, you know, the Gothic D. You see it everywhere. You see a Red Sox B or
Dallas teams have even stole that to try to use it because they like it so much. I saw some Cowboys hats the other day. So there's something very synonymous about Detroit and baseball to me too.
Denver.
You know what? I will say that the Rockies, the Avalanche, are the number 2 team in that market.
I'm kind of willing to give it to them as well. Although I will say, when I've been there twice in the last couple of years, they worship Jokic.
Really?
Worship him, as they should.
As they should.
And the Rockies set an attendance record their first year when they were playing a Mile High. It's just a tough team to root for. I do think I went there on a Thursday afternoon getaway game, and you know,
it looks like a pretty ballpark. I'll give them that.
It is. It's beautiful, and there were you know, between 25,000-30,000 people in there. It sneaky good.
Did you get to see Dinger at least?
Huh?
Did you get to see Dinger at least?
I did see Dinger.
There you go.
I did. One of my buddies he found on eBay a Michael Kadire Rockies jersey. Because this was such a good inside joke, because when we were planning on going to the game, one of our other friends we were talking about all-time great Rockies, and one of the other friends said Michael Kadire. We're like, what the fuck, dude? And so Klein found
I like it. I like that. That's great.
A jersey. All right, 2 more. Two more. This one is, I think, the most interesting in the worst way. Washington, D.C. It's interesting because it's a bad sports town.
It is.
It
It's
is
not
not
the
a good
Wizards. The
sports town
Wizards
at
are
all.
awful. They were awful as the Bullets. It's not the Nationals. The Nationals had the
So
one
there we
World
go.
Series, and so it's got to
there
be.
we go.
It is. Yeah.
Process of elimination. Like, yeah, I guess it's
But
the
none of
capital.
them are good.
Yeah, and they don't. None of them have great fan bases, nor are well supported.
The Wizards for sure have to be last after giving up 83 to Bam Adebayo last week too.
Just terrible branding. All of these
7 of
teams
22.
actually-
by the
all of
way,
these
from
teams have
3-point
terrible
line.
branding too. How about that?
They do.
Capitals have the worst uniforms in the league.
I think we
All
could
right.
say that going down the line of all the DC teams.
All of them, dude. I mean, Commanders, that just sucks. You didn't have to be Redskins anymore, I guess, but you could have done something way better than that. Nationals, Walgreens, and Wizards, like what? I don't even know what the hell they're doing. You're trying to do Baltimore
it's like a
Bullets
basketball
thing.
with a star in it. It's really weird.
It's awful, and it's a stupid name. Okay, last one.
Okay.
Because this is the one I saw, and I was like, what? So we're going for the hockey team being the second biggest team in the market. Dallas. I mean, come on, man. That was the first one I saw. I was like, you've got to be shitting me.
I wish they cared more about hockey. But no, they're firmly fourth. Like that's the thing. They traded away Luka, wanted to have chance of firing Nico, and more people still went to those Mavericks games than Stars games. Still.
And look, I'll say this.
And the Stars have the Stanley Cup. Just people in Texas don't care.
Stars are the best team in Dallas. That's for sure.
Oh,
they're the best team right now. And look, they do have a small, passionate fan base. The Stars do.
Yes.
And you see that in the playoffs. The building gets really loud. It's a tough place to play. And that, by the way, that is okay. You have a small but passionate niche fan base. That's what most NHL teams have in the States anyway. But let's not get it twisted here. I mean, come on. Like, I don't think the Mavericks are one of the great fan bases in the NBA or anything, but
no, they're one of my most annoying, to be honest.
Yeah, I would actually agree. And I do think they have taken advantage of the fact that they've been pretty damn good for almost the entirety of the last 25 years. And I think that, and obviously, like I said, with Jokic, maybe even more with Luka, because I saw it more up close, they fucking worshipped that guy. Worshipped him. I mean, they were protesting the team when they traded him.
It was Dirk before that, but at least Dirk is for. I'm not saying that Luke is not, but like Dirk is a Hall of
Jason
Famer.
Robertson walks. Like they're not doing that. And I would still Texas also, you used it with football earlier. I think they're kind of lackadaisical with their MLB fandom just because like there's a lot of baseball going on. There's, which like in Boston or New York, there's not a lot of great amateur baseball in the spring or anything. It's not like they're getting up for high school baseball. And so you see more of it at the ballpark. But I would say all of those over the Stars easily.
Yeah. I would tend to agree.
Was that the worst one? Was that the worst one on the list?
It was the worst one.
Yeah.
Because and maybe it's because we've both lived here. So it is. Maybe it's because we both lived here. So we've seen that. We know that's obviously not the case. Like I would love because, Phoenix is just a couple states over. And I hear that they've become a real hotbed for like NHL activity or just the state of Arizona in general. I wish Texas would have some pride and be like, you know what? We can create some good NHL talent too. But they just don't do that. Football is always going to be king. I don't even know if they're ranked. Like I've been a Rangers fan forever. They might be third. I don't even know if they're second. But just because of how good
off of the Cowboys, right? Like
there's a dip before anybody else.
So anyway,
but there's no way. There's no way.
Thanks for doing this with me, Zach.
Oh well, thanks for having me on. We haven't talked in a while.
And I'll even think of I'll think of something for Friday, and maybe there'll be one other one that pops into mind, but. Nope, not New York, not Philadelphia, not not Chicago. And those are all
other
great
ones-
hockey towns. Chicago's a great hockey town.
Well, the other ones I thought of too are like, well, it's because there's not more than 3 teams there. Like Salt Lake City, like the Mammoth are going to be 2, but that's just because all they have is the Jazz. So,
what you got? Anyway, we've ran long, so we're gonna phase it out here. We'll be back on Friday, but check out the YouTube channel. Find us wherever you get your podcasts. We'll see you then on the Wicked Boston Show with Cam Stewart and sometimes Zach Burke.
Relax with Hemp Delicious. Organically grown hemp, massively blended with delicious organic herbs, responsibly sourced for their holistic benefits. Each sip offers calming, antioxidant-rich wellness. Brewed just for you. Sip the calm with Hemp Delicious.
At Open Goal USA, we're revolutionizing training for both soccer and lacrosse with our innovative portable rebounders. Perfect for players of all ages and skill levels. Visit OpenGOAAALUSA.com and elevate your training today.
Farmhounds offers natural treats and chews made with quality products that support family farm, regenerative agriculture, and humane farming practices. Give your dog the best with wholesome, organic ingredients that promote health and happiness. Shop now at farmhounds.com.
Get paid faster with Bill, the easiest way to send, receive, and manage your payments. No more delays, no more hassle. Whether you're a freelancer or a business, Bill makes payments seamless and secure, simple, fast, and reliable. Sign up today at Bill.com. We are Rogue Media Sports.